Alright people, Catfish Dave here. This is a story about a cougar, a catfish, and Chinese food. Well, basically, I like all three things, and all three things can be very enjoyable. The problem is when you mix all three things. Sometimes the outcome isn't desirable. Well, as y'all know, once in a while I catfish, and I met a cougar. Now this old gal was looking good. She was looking fine. Night and day, she was all that was on my mind. I missed out on some fishing videos because of it. Just didn't go, you know. I liked her personality. I liked the way she looked. That's all I know. Anyway, I decided to get back on the catfish trail after dating her for a little while. And as y'all seen, I've been catching flatheads, and I like to target flatheads in the spring. Anyway, I found me a spot that I had never videoed at before that would be a good potential flathead spot. Now I like to video at different places to keep it interesting, and what was better is this place was pretty close to the house, pretty much downtown Knoxville. Well, I get set up down there. Of course, I've been talking and texting with her, and she said she was going to Knoxville to get a bite to eat with her son. I said, okay, well I'll be in Knoxville. I'm going to be catfishing down there. So anyway, I set up. I'm all excited to get back into the video thing. Get my baits out in the water. Wasn't there long at all, man. I see that rod tip move a little bit, and sure enough, it was a fish. Little bitty old flathead. That's the smallest one I've caught all year right there. Little bitty old thing. I was telling some people, man, I've made 115 videos with the same fish. I just keep it in the back of my truck. This is that 45-pound flathead that I caught in the last video. I just video shop them to make them look bigger or smaller. Anyway, I turn that fish loose and get my baits back out. I'm like, well, this is pretty exciting, you know. It wasn't much of a flathead, but that was telling me there were flatheads there. I might just have a good night, you know. It was, you know, a little bit before dark. I said, I got time. I just had this feeling I was going to hook up with a good fish that night, you know. Well, it gets closer and closer to dark. She texted me, says, I'm at a Chinese restaurant. I text her back, said, I like Chinese food. So what does she do? She decides to bring me some Chinese food. So I'm like, well, this ain't bad. You know, I got this fine woman gonna come up here and drop me off dinner right here where I'm fishing. So I sent her a GPS to where I was at. Started getting close to dark, and I knew it was time. I knew something was probably going to get on the line. And I heard that car pull up right above the hill above me. I was kind of there off a cut bank, you know. Well, I was kind of excited to see her. Kind of didn't want to leave my rods, you know. I knew it was time for a bite, and I just didn't feel right about climbing up that hill with them baits in the water, and it was almost night. Anyway, I went up the hill. There she was. She was looking fine. I was thinking, man, this girl is mine. I was kind of excited to see her. She couldn't climb down the hill and bring me no food because she's wearing this cute little skirt and heels, you know. So here I am. Now, as a catfisherman, I wanted to take that Chinese food and immediately climb down the hill, get back to my rods. It was getting dark. I knew it was time. something was fixing to happen. Well, here she is, done went through the trouble, done paid for my food, done brought it out to me. And here she is, man, just looking fine. I just got a dink tap on my line. Anyway, she's looking fine. I can't just take that food and go down the hill and go back to my rods, you know. I had to make her feel like I was grateful. And I did appreciate what she did. It was very nice. So I hung out with her a little bit. We talked, and dark had settled in. And I started, mentioning the fact that I really should be getting down there because that clicker could go off at any minute. Well, we talked a little more. Next thing you know, there was that sound I really didn't want to hear right then, because here I am at the top of this hill sucking on Chinese food, you know. I didn't have no choice. I didn't even have time to say bye, man. You know, I'm chewing and climbing down this hill at the same time, trying to get to my rod as the clicker was going off. As I engage my reel and start reeling on it, trying to set the hook, I realized this fish had already changed directions. Dag blasted boat tries to come by right when you're talking. Anyway, I realized this fish had changed directions. It was running back towards me. So I'm reeling faster and faster. Finally it gets tight. Everything starts feeling right, you know. This fish was heavy, man. So I go into the camera. Man, I got a good fish here, you know. And that's when y'all really can't see it because where I was at in the camera, but that rod just bowed over hard. And I'm like, I've got a good flathead on here. Feels like a good fish. I hope I got a good hook set because I was running down the hill with Chinese food and the line had a chance to go slack and he was actually swimming back towards me when I set the hook. So, feels like a good fish though. So anyway, I'm all excited, you know. I done got one flathead landed, done got Chinese food laying over there next to my tackle box, you know, and got a big flathead on the hook. This is gonna be the perfect night. Well, it didn't take long, and I just knew things weren't right. This fish had swam into something, swam around something. Either way, I was hung up. He done hung me up in something. Sucker. He's got me in something. I get to tugging on a little bit, trying to work it free. Finally, I just set my rod down, man, just to see if this fish will maybe swim out on its own. And I go back to sucking on my Chinese food. Nothing I can do, man, but finish my Chinese food. Hope he swims out of whatever he went in. It was a big fish. Dag blast it. Chinese food is pretty good either way. After a few bites of Chinese food, I realized it's done. This fish has got me hung, you know, so I decided to break my line. That 40-pound Andy Monster Yellow was a little stronger than I needed it to be at that time, and so the breaking process was a little rough. Ended up slipping, falling in the river. I could feel that fish, man, when I got a hook set. He was a nice fish. And I'm saying it probably was a flathead because he went straight for some cover. Finally, I'm frustrated. Man, that was a nice fish. My night has kind of been, in a way, ruined, you know, because there went that big fish. And I finally break my line. Now, I still like cougars. I still like catfish. I still like Chinese food. But one thing I've learned is not to mix all three together. Spend time with your cougar or pack a lunch and go catfishing. Am I glad she brought me dinner? Yeah, I am. I hated to miss that fish, but it is what it is. I didn't catch no big catfish that day, but I still got a pretty fine cougar. So all in all, it ain't too bad. Anyway, there's several more videos I'm going to show at this spot, and in each video the flatheads get bigger. So y'all stay tuned for that. This is a video. There was a fish in the video. This is Catfish Dave, signing out.